everyone, Unklebtdestiny here with you. I'm out and about a bit today, and I've been thinking about some things lately. As you might have remembered from my last reading for the Bones, I spoke about the aspect of our work here with things that have happened since the election here in the U.S., about the aspect of us being more human. But it's also an element too to discuss the elements of energy, spirits and ancestors, which I've also been getting the message from them that they want to talk about as well. Now, why do they want that talked about? Because I think they want it understood both in the actions we take, but also in the understanding of how we operate. That being said, there is a spectrum of energy. We often refer to it as being the spectrum between hot and cold, or light and dark. But there's also energy around emotions. And also the work I do as a therapist is also dealing in the aspect of our spectrum of emotions from happy to sad, or joyous to angry. Now, how that comes into play here with the spirits is the fact that beyond our ancestors, there are also a set of spirits that feed off of the emotional energy that we, the mortals on this physical plane, consume. They hang around us just to feed off of that energy. And when we are feeding positive energy to them, they're around us and also helping put a positive spin on everything that comes into our lives. Same thing goes with our ancestors. The more we encourage positivity, the more we encourage good behavior, the more they grow, the more they elevate. And the more we ask them to do works that are about healing, that are about supporting growth, the more they elevate. So, calling on your family members, your ancestors, to help you get a job, and a healthy one, calling on your ancestors to watch over and protect your children is a good thing. And that's something we want to encourage in that relationship with them. Now, the other side of this is the negative energies, the ones around fear, the ones around doubt, and there is two different types of doubt. There is healthy doubt, and there is negative doubt. But, again, that aspect is something that there are spirits that feed on that energy that are going to be around people. They're going to encourage that behavior as well because it continues to provide them with a stable, great food source. So if you think about people that you know have been very negative and how trouble just seems to always fall around them, that's because there are spirits around them that are feeding on that negative energy. Now, to an extent, I think is also a reflection of our society, we often encourage that problem also when we're dealing with death. I'm sure we've all heard the stories of somebody who has died tragically, and their family members saying, they appeared to me in all their pain, clamoring, calling for vengeance, calling for blood. And I want to ask you this question. In the person that you knew, the person that you were so devoted to and loved, do you think they really would be somebody who's calling for vengeance? And is that really the person that you knew? Well, if it isn't, then here's the thing. That was a negative spirit who enjoys feeding off of your sadness, feeding off your anger, feeding off that sense of vengeance that isn't justified, using you as a food source, and encouraging you to continue to provide it with food by wearing the face of your loved one who has left, and acting in the way that your loved one who you knew wouldn't act. Now, why is this important? It's important because it also flows into what we deal with our ancestors. because there are ancestors that are, as I said earlier, positive. You want to call on for help with work and protecting family. And then there are ancestors who aren't. And if you do want to call on them, they're the ones you're calling on for vengeance. They're the ones you're calling on to do the less than nice things to people. But at that same point, they're not elevating. They're not becoming better ancestors. That's continuing to keep them in a cycle of decay, of destruction, of loss. And to a further extent, as I said, there are spirits that feed on the negative energy. They also understand that there is a food source to be had by continuing to encourage negative energy and negative thinking, negative emotions. And so, like any other living thing, they will protect their food source. So I know there are those workers out there who are wanting to do works to help with what may be the future of this country, keeping certain people from making it into office or calling for the need for justice, which is good, and I encourage you to keep calling for actual justice. But the thing I also want to encourage you to think about, my fellow workers, and those who want to ask for more positivity, is asking and doing works to strip away those negative energies, those negative spirits from around the people who are their food source. Because I'll put it this way. When Donald Trump was elected, there was a massive number of people, massive across this country, who became fearful, who became depressed, who became sad, who became angry. And in some cases, and rightfully so, we need to be constantly fighting for our rights. But with all of those things that came up, that acted as a food source for all of those negative spirits. Essentially, you're looking at a Vegas-style buffet 4 times, maybe 10 times over, that the entire country just fed the spirits that are around Donald Trump and the others like him, which gave them power, which just supports the idea of the fact that they need to keep their food source as safe as possible and keep them in a position so they can continue to provide them with all the negative and saddening energy that we produce in dealing with this. So that is why I say, again, to all of those that are doing works around this situation, it's not just going to be about calling for justice against him and those like him. It's also going to be about stripping away the negative spirits that are around him and that are protecting him so that the workings don't get to him. So put some of your energy into the call for justice, but also put energy into calling and stripping away the negative spirits that are continuing to feed this source, or continuing this source so they can feed. And in some ways, if you want to put those ancestors who have had a negative history to work, put them to work clearing away those negative spirits. Put them to work to get elevated and to grow by doing the work of protecting all of us. In some ways, use their negative attributes to clear away that which harms all of us. So, this is Unklebtdestiny, signing off right now, and I hope you have a blessed day. I hope the ancestors are with you in both positivity and in protection. Ashe.